It does work, yes. It doesn't really work. I mean, it kind of works. That's the thing. It's okay. There is a lot of things that are broken, but there is a lot of things that work. So that's really good. Congrats on having it on the store. That's a good news. That's a good news. Also, welcome on it. Oh, dang. The current thing that is currently broken is the player. The player is broken, but I'm guessing it's because the server is kind of down or not on when I tried it. That's the only reason that I can give to myself. But yeah, I think overall it's a pretty good thing. The sad part that I have is that I can't really plug it, as I said every time. I can't really plug it to a way where, you can see it on the side. Like that's not a thing. That's really sad. I wish I could. I can't. But yeah, that's the thing. It's working-ish. We have, as far as right now, the login was working, which is pretty cool. To be able to log in. The thing that I have a bit of an issue with, yeah, I know I can not log in, but plug it in to see it through Android Studio, but is that really necessary? Where is Android Studio? Do I have Android Studio? I do. Cybersect, hi, welcome on in. How are you? How's the day going? I guess the only option that I have is this, right? It's not on the device manager, it's on the... Sorry? Not this one. Dang. Yeah. God damn it. The issue that I have right now... Oh, that's so shit. That's so shit. Then pixels is the navigation bar at the bottom is really tiny. It has like a lot of like not enough space, right? It doesn't have enough space for me to be able to say, well, this is good or this is bad or something. But I didn't know I could interact with my phone. I can't interact with my phone when I'm on the... I guess it's because it's older. That's the reason. Anyways, doesn't matter. So that's working, which is really cool. So that's crazy broken. That's the trackpad. Don't worry about it. It's fine. So navigation is kind of broken, which is fine. It happens. The navigation bar, tab bar, the views that are here are working, and everything in there is pretty good. Like there is nothing really broken from my point of view that would need to, have something happen. And the reason for that bottom section being so tiny for me specifically is because I don't have the navigation bar, like the native navigation bar. I have the gesture made or gesture based navigation, and therefore that's not taking the space that you kind of need, I guess, from your point of view. So that's the thing. The rest is pretty cool. Everything is kind of working. It's pretty fun to me that the stars are recalculated every time the view is re-rendered. Congrats on 230. That's crazy. So yeah, the fact that they are moving in and out every time that you click on, it reload the previous one and then it reload a new version, and then you click out, it change them and then reload them. So that's kind of weird. But other than that, that's fine. And as I said, lastly, the thing that is kind of broken, congrats on the 3 stream. That's pretty cool. It's interesting that you're only on 3. You've been here every time, mostly. So, yeah, walk on it. The thing that is kind of broken is the play section is kind of giving me, or was giving me, return, like will be connected or connection was not working or something, attempting to reconnect. That's the sentence that was written. So yeah, I would say that's the thing that happened that was kind of broken. But other than that, it's working. The pages are working, the navigation is working. So that's cool. Yeah, I know. That's kind of sad though. It's kind of sad that if you miss one stream on Twitch directly, you basically lose your streak compared to Duolingo, for example, where you lose your streak and you have like a streak freeze and you can retain your streak for like a day, 2 days, 3 days, up to 5 days if you have enough streaks freeze. But like, it makes sense. Um, you can watch the VOD to keep your streak. That's crazy. Basically, you would count as a viewer if you watched the VOD on the day of the stream. That's interesting. I did not know that. I did not know that. But that is, yeah, it's interesting news. Interesting news. Um, oh, if you watch the VOD before, so basically you have a day and a half before I like go back streaming. You should be good. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Last point, even though this is like a different version and so on, a ton of these don't work. Like the account setting doesn't work. I think the download doesn't work. Notification doesn't work. Help and support doesn't work. About doesn't work. And apparently the sign out doesn't work either. I can't sign out. Like if I'm signed in, I can't sign out. That's crazy. But it's really cool nonetheless to have like all of that working in there to at least test. Like, yeah, hey, it's good. It's good. But yeah, nonetheless, that's overall. Um, yeah, but there is only one server, so I mean, for me specifically, I can't really, and your back button doesn't work. God damn it. Most of the main view are working, which is the most important thing, right? You want them to be on point and working, so that's good. But yeah, at least I found it by searching it. Like I search for it instead of clicking on the link because I don't have brain. I don't have Discord on this one, so I couldn't click the link. But yeah, like hi, what got it? How are you? How's everything? So yeah, you understood. That is a huge milestone. Indeed, milestone. We agree. We agree. Speaking of milestone, I have some milestone, or I have some stone that have miles on it. I don't know. Today's activity have been regarding the wish list. So we kind of talked about it quickly on Monday, I think. Maybe you needed to just verify your account. Like, that's what happened. But now you can check. So in the wish list now, I have the view, which is loading in, which is pretty cool. Mizzy, hi, what on it? And two options from there. The long press to add to collection or remove from the wish list. That's a good thing. It works for both. So in a manual entry, if I add to collection, it just refill the specific form in question for adding a perfume, which is really cool. And if it's like from a database entry, it's just going to re-add it as if it was like an entry from the database. So that's pretty cool. The other thing that I added today was having the details of the perfume directly in that you want in your collection. So it is a similar layout than what we have in the main view, but I removed a ton of the design stuff because it makes no sense. Some of them I kind of want to bring back, but we'll see. And then at the bottom or in the center, I kind of added the collection fit analysis, which is the section that basically tells you if this is a good fit for your collection, if it's something that is necessary, not necessary, and so on. So the good news for this is if you are looking for, or if you have put a perfume in your wish list and you don't really know if it's gonna match with the rest of your collection, you will have the ability to just explore that. The only issue that happen or will happen is here. If you have like this one is really weird because it's a wild situation because it doesn't have anything in it. It's really bad, but nonetheless, for anything else, it's pretty cool to see. This is a good test. Most of the perfume that you had before that have like very much similarities with 31% of similar notes. All perfumes that you had, but now they are empty and therefore, uh, you know, um, yeah. So that's cool. That's a good news. That's a good addition, good changes, good stuff. And the last thing that I changed was in the potential image sharing thing. We now have multiple layouts. One with just a bottle because it's sometimes people just want the bottle extracted, which makes sense. One with just the notes, which is kind of not centered, but it's fine. And one with uh, just the notes, but in a different layout. And then the regular first one, which I think for now seems to be the best option, but you know, sometimes we need to change stuff. So yeah, that's a good start. It's not great, but it's a good start. Um, I think I'm gonna release that when I can to the store so that people can interact with it. I've been marketing and DMing a lot of people to make sure that people are testing it and giving me some feedbacks. Uh, I've got some people saying that the app is really sluggish and kind of slow in searching, which makes sense because that's the case. So that's good to know. Apparently, they're on the iPhone 14 Plus. So that's not necessarily the latest, but that's not either the slowest of iPhones. So we'll see. But yeah, um, we'll see. We will see. On so that's the main news for this thing. It's pretty good. It has a good update overall. I changed some micro thing. You might be able to notice that on stream. The card that is right here has now a gradient. Oh my God, I know. What a concept. The top is darker than the bottom. Oh my God. So that happens. I know it's a lot of work. It's not. But yeah, that was a thing. You go, hi, what got it? How are you? How's the day going? In the other side of things and stuff that I've done on my own, Stony, on my own. I kind of talked about it. We kind of started on stream last time, but I did this whole thing alone. And this whole thing is creating that add to collection and boast stuff. So yeah. It's been 2 weeks since it's been cut. There you go. That happens. That happens. Yeah, I don't know if it's a congrats, but it's still not a dev. Like, for example, I wanted to have um, two different colors in two different cases, and it can't work because uh, doesn't doesn't work that way. So yeah, I don't know why fancy Korean guy was auto-moded, but fine. fine. So yeah, so that's a thing. I wanted to have something like embossed to check some of the details here and there to see if I could recreate what I have in Figma. We kind of talked about it and showcased that in the past. Um, if I just remember where I put that, I think I did that in the ASO. Yeah, that thing right there.
Hugo K. Bernardo just resubscribed for 32 months.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. The auto mod of Twitch is really not making any sense. Like, not. I mean, there are words that it's automoting and that makes sense because it's part of what it's supposed to do. But then there is a lot of times where it's just like I don't know. It feels weird. It feels weird. So yeah, so that's an interesting thing. It's weird how it's made in code, not in here, but basically what it or how it works in order to get like this entire thing. We have a ton of drop shadow and inner shadows, right? We have initially two inner shadows for the top and bottom section for the highlight and the sub shadow. We have a secondary option for that, so to reinforce these things for the crease, basically. And then we have a drop shadow that is on top of all of that or in the center to create the drop, like the fall off of the shadow and the highlight of the paper bouncing back and so on. So that's the easiest thing. And then you have a background blur to blur the background. That's the point. And layer blur to give it that kind of subtle, embossed, more natural feel. In code, I had to get the inner shadow added. Apparently, they can only be added on top of the coloring inside of the thing, and the shadow being outside. So I can't really interlace them with like another one after these shadows as I would have done in Figma. And then the background blur is not necessarily something that I can touch myself. So, yeah. Um, so yeah, I don't know. But it looks neat. It's working. The effect with the drop shadow is kind of too strong. I feel like it's still levitating compared to the one that I have in Figma, but it's not bad. Uh, but it's not great either. Like there is something wrong about it, and I might do that at some point. But the idea is to get that concept and that amount of shadows and things to be added to the home card. Um, and I kind of did that. Nothing. This bitch is so slow every time. It doesn't. That's the point. It's not something that is supposed to be accessible. It's something that is supposed to be decorative. So if it's not visible, it doesn't really matter, because it's used here. Basically, it's used on that element. If it was on text, that wouldn't be a good option. But because I want to add it on that element specifically, that's the only place where I can potentially do it. The only issue that I have with that is that the color itself doesn't really work when it's in the combination of dark mode and light mode. Like it worked on the one that I had or was on a second ago because it's secondary background color on top of a secondary background color, so that makes sense. Here specifically, that plus is using secondary on top of the background, but it's not this. It's not the same color background, so it doesn't really look the same. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's That's the thing. So it's just here for decorative purposes, and it looks a tad bit better when it's like on light mode because we can see the highlight of the plus. Um, but yeah, it's very much a subtle detail that doesn't really add anything. And that bitch ass color scheme dark was a pain in the ass. Uh, not gonna lie. I am not gonna lie. That's bad. Yeah, even there, that doesn't make it better. Like there is a need for sub-level drop shadow, and I don't want to do it, but I kind of need to make it like more blurred. And that blur of 0.5 is not necessarily what we need. Like we might need like a 1 for the blur itself. But yeah, maybe 1.5 is fine. I'm also very much zoomed in, so that makes more sense. Yeah, small details. Small details all day trying to figure out exactly what makes sense, what works, what doesn't work. And that doesn't work. Oh my God. Um, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We are back. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. I don't like it in dark mode, and it makes more sense in dark mode than it does in others. But it's just it has this transparency issue that needs to happen, and I don't want to make it so harsh. And the issue that I have with it, personally speaking, is the fact that this color, if it was tertiary in dark mode, it makes a lot more sense and it works way better because you can just simply have it like smaller. But then when you do that in light mode, it's just not visible at all. So you lose a lot of the details with tertiary. So that's the reason why secondary is there. I know that most people will probably be in light mode, um, based on the fact that the people that are perfume collectors and others are not necessarily the people that are using dark mode for their phones. So, with that in mind, um, I need a light mode to be as clean as possible all the time so that it doesn't break anything. That's the main point. That is the main point. But I need to not neglect the dark mode either, so that's annoying. Nonetheless annoying. So yeah, and on the other side of things, even though not really impressive, still impressive. Um, I figured out how to create these things. So yeah, I mean, figured out, not really. We have the sticker. We talked about the sticker before, and that's the initial sticker. That's the one I'm currently using for everything. It has a bit of issues here and there, but it's fine. If I do that, I think, um, it transforms it to. Sorry, if I do that. it transforms it to the new stickers version that I put in place, which basically gives you a more natural sticker effect. It has an issue here on the crop, but that's just the padding that needs to be changed. But it's an interesting thing, nonetheless. It's pretty nice to see that I can potentially play with these things and be okay with it. Um, you know, the top padding is broken. Much better. So yeah, that's a fun thing, at least from my point of view, to understand how I can now have potentially understand potentially have other sub values for the modifiers by creating functions that can be reused afterwards. So by having that here and defining that I have my stroke functions that is defined inside of the extension of the view, and then defining the function inside the one that will be reused, it's then applicable to other elements. So that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. So yeah, so far I have all of that. It's working, it does its job, and it's just a matter of changing stickers or stickered from the initial to have like a longer shadow and so on to sticker, and have a less long shadow for real sticker effect. So that's something that I will use later. The current state of things for me is potentially to have or add an option to get the sticker for the like this one, the favorite sticker, on top of the bottle, as if it was stickered on the bottle itself. So when we're looking at this view, for example, and let's say that this perfume is my favorite perfume, it would have the sticker on the bottle based on the placement of the bottle and so on. Same thing here. Instead of having it right on the side like this, which looks kind of like shit, I kind of want it to be on top of the bottle as a real sticker. So that's the idea. We'll see if I can do that. I don't think I can, but we'll see. I will try. I will try. I tried today. It worked. Never. So I reverted everything. But yeah, it might work. Some of these things, the reason why it's broken is in order to make it work, like let's say that this is what we have, we want the sticker to be on the bottle itself and not like here. So it needs to place its center in one of the pixels of the image, usually in the bottom lower half of the bottle image itself, like for the full height of the bottle. And on top of that, it needs to be not too on the side to be properly placed on the bottle itself. So it's a lot of calculation for no fucking reason, specifically because this whole thing, none of the bottle angle is going to be the same. So if I reload this view, you can see that these two are in different angle or are at a different angle compared to before. Like that changes every fucking time. So if I reload that page, it's gonna change, and it's never like you never exactly know where the thing is gonna be. So it needs to happen before, and then the rotation is gonna be applied on top of that. But because of that recalculation of the bottle angle all the time, it also recalculate, or it will recalculate the favorite sticker on top of it. So that's gonna take a lot of time to make sure that I have everything. So, we'll see. We'll see, but that's where we are. It's pretty cool. It's working. Things are good-ish. People that are using the app are using the app, which is pretty good. We have reached 120 download, I think, today. So that's cool. And we'll see. We'll see if it grows faster or not faster as expected. Um, I'm kind of sad about some of the hype that I had before, like while we were talking about it and building it on TikTok, basically. I had a lot of hype and a lot of things related to this is something that we need and so on. And the issue that I have is that these people that have said that have not come through in getting the app and using the app entirely, or at least I don't see them. So we'll see. We will see. But yeah. On another note, a heart note related. Heart is weird. It's doing weird stuff. It's not like in a bad position, but it's hurting more than usual. As we said last week, I went to the cardiologist to check for the medicine that I was taking because my heart rate, not heart rate, my blood pressure was too low compared to what I'm used to. And she said, cut the treatment in half. Instead of taking one pill per day, you take half a pill per day. And since then, it's hurting more. But if I'm taking the medicine again, it's going to reduce my blood pressure again, which is not good. So I don't know. And I have no clue. Um, it's only been 2.5 months, not even half, 2 and 1 week months of treatment. So that's, not necessarily enough to go back there for an echography or something, but we might have to do that to make sure that it's not something else. It's a weird sensation. I can't really explain what it is and how it feels because it doesn't feel like anything, really. It's just tight, but in a wrong way. So, yeah, that's where we are. Nonetheless, it's fine. I'm still dying, but at the normal rate for myself. The thing that I'm sad about and I'm thinking, which is kind of bad, but could be the case, um, I have been on stimulant for so long, even though that's not really true, but kinda, that my regular heart rate without them is too low to sustain myself. So I need some of it, at least, to be able to function, but not as much as I used to have. So I need to find a middle ground, I'm guessing, but I'm not doing experimentation yet. I will wait. I will wait for the experimentation because, I mean, I can't afford that right now. But yeah, nonetheless, that's the that is the current situation. Um, we don't have a lot of other things. We have had a lot of likes on Twitter, and there have been other stuff happening in terms of other places and other locations where design is interesting, but it's also like kind of complicated to display and or showcase and so on. So we'll see. If you have been on Twitter for the past few days, you probably have seen a lot of designers has been just being online designer, and that's really bad. And basically redesigning logos extremely badly and expecting people to praise them. And the sad part is that people are praising them in the reply. And it's really sad. It is really sad. I wish I could find some of these, but I don't think I do. Um, we stopped somewhere. Hmm. Also, I think I discovered a new pattern, design pattern. Today I had like a bit of a click, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a new That's a new pattern for sure. For sure. So we'll see. Um, in the thing that I'm seeing is, as always, we have these very clean presentation. This is something that is for the marketing. These ones are not necessarily good for two reasons. The first reason, at least for me, is the fact that these cut out that are supposed to be like either the shadow of the element, or they are like the place in which the slot in which the thing is going to slot in. They are not exactly the same on both, so that's kind of weird, but I kind of get it. As in, this one is kind of flat, and this the angles don't match, whereas this one kind of match. So that's really weird, but it's a common design pattern, clean design pattern. It makes sense, so nothing to complain about on this one. We've had other things of the illustration which makes sense. This one was really, really good for the pointing out right here. That person was saying this is what a $3,000 dashboard design looked like. And when you look at it closely, which I did, I saw the exact same thing, which is really sad. But also that's me in corner radius. You can see that right there. It's really sad. It's not much, but it's just like, I mean, it's kind of flat, and it shouldn't be. And it's only on the first one, so I'm guessing it's something related to a scroll view or of some sort. That auto layout is probably like a clipping container. But yeah, that was kind of fun to see. This one is, I think this is a pattern, mainly because it's the fourth one app that I'm seeing this month that are using this as a loading screen. So cards or stickers or stamps or something flying in from every side and then moving up. I will go on to Xiangsu in a second to show you the other one that I have in mind, but it's a very similar situation. So that's an interesting thing. We saw another one, I think 2 months ago, which was using the same system, and we used that for Yan for like basically parsing the user library, photo libraries. It was the same animation, so that's a very interesting thing. But yeah, nonetheless, that's just a pattern. Stamps are the hype right now. So if you are designing something with stamps, you're going to be associated with 2025. Just know that, right? Stickers are not really associated with any year. There is stickers every year. So that's something, but stamps right now with these shapes specifically, this is, I think this is the strongest design pattern and shape choice that I've seen in a while happening in one specific year, like 2024, not a lot of stamps. Beginning of 2025, not a lot of stamps. Second half, a lot of stamps. All the time, all the things are just not stickers anymore, but stamps instead, just because it makes the shape more interesting. So that's a very cool pattern to follow through and see. But yeah, like these ones, for example, these are kind of stickers, not stamps. So, that's the thing. We talked about that before, and I kind of wanted to reiterate on this. This is not exactly the same creator as last time. Nonetheless, they are doing the old school way of creating a layout. And there are a lot of things that we can learn from when we're looking at their presentation on paper. But also, this implies a lot of knowledge prior to the creation of these paper things. As in, that block of text right here, why didn't it go the full width? Why did it go this exact same width? How did it decide the width of the secondary paragraphs? Like, are there rules for that? What was their thinkings for this? All of that are questions that you, if you have the knowledge, would have the answers. But if you don't and you're just seeing this happen, you might not understand why they have selected these exact things. So you can like infer the reasoning, but it's usually going to be wrong. It's interesting. There is a lot of things related to how people read to take into consideration, but also like that whole system is working for very specific size of display. When we're looking at the responsive one that they are building, I don't think most of it is going to work for bigger screens, specifically because right here, like these sizes are resizing themselves, these blocks of text, and that's wrong for the reading purposes. Like the size that has been selected right here, it makes sense for reading. The fact that it's flexible doesn't really make a lot of sense. It should be fixed for the text-based stuff. The image can be flexible, but that's a different thing. Nonetheless, cool stuff, cool concept, cool presentation, but that's about it. That's about it. We had this, and I had one thing to say, and you might be saying the same thing when you look at that logo thing. It's supposed to be a book. And my first instinct was, this is a nice towel. That's a nice book. This is a nice towel. The fact that it's rounded, and so much rounded, and so much rounded in the corners, that's a towel, not a book. And this being like flatter and more square makes it more like a book shape than the others. So yeah, just wanted to point that out. Sometimes, you know, it happens. Sometimes it happens. Other than that, we've had other cool effect, but not much. This one is the Magic Mouse replacement thing that we talked about last month, which is, I think, a Japanese-made mouse that combines the Magic Mouse and other mouse behaviors. And from what we can understand here is that this thing is also the number pad. So it has multi-function based on whatever you want to do with it. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's very interesting to have like a touchscreen-ish interface with numpad at the tip of your fingers all the time. To be checked. I don't think I will get one, but if I find one in the wild in Japan, I might do. I might get one. Just for testing purposes. Just for testing purposes. Anyways, if you've been on the internet again for the past 2 days, this is also all the rage for no fucking reason. This is a design studio that does lamps, and for their dark mode, light mode switch, which is not dark mode, light mode, this is turning on and off the lights. So, what do you mean it lost all text? That makes no sense. So yeah. Yeah, you can use your iPhone as a trackpad. There are a lot of apps that do this with using your iPhone as a trackpad and or a mouse. The thing is, like, you would mostly use it as a trackpad and not really as a mouse because you would basically scratch the cameras, and or if you put it upside down, which is some of the options, using the front-facing camera as the understanding, you need a case that has like the edges, the four corners to be raised in order to not like scratch your screen, but it's an option. So it is something that exists, and a lot of people have been using that. There are stuff that we used to have, and I don't know if it still exists, but the knock knock on your iPhone used to be an option to unlock your Mac. Like if you had your iPhone in your pocket, or if you had your iPhone on the desk in something and you tapped the screen as a knock, it would unlock your Mac because it's your phone linked to your iCloud ID goes there. There is a sort of same thing, I think, on the bottom right corner or left corner of the MacBook Pros. It's the same situation. So that's weird. And yeah, I'm going to take a look at that. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting thing nonetheless. Interesting thing nonetheless. This one was just because, if you remember, the one that I did for Bad Cop for the Minecraft thing was kind of similar with the light and stuff. But yeah, that's interesting. I would recommend you switch light mode, dark mode to check, because sometimes it's that easy. You just need a full refresh of the display. And if that's not the case, I don't know. Also, ding dong indeed, indeed. Ding dong indeed. uh, a lot of people are bringing these back. So be ready. We talked about that before. I think we had a conversation with Scarlett last time, but also similar things. Basically, design was complex and very skeuomorphic, representing things um, that, uh, are realistic. So if you wanted to have some metal in your app, you needed like a metal texture, some paper texture, and so on. And that was more complex, but working a bit more complex. And then material design came in, and it was like kind of flat is easier for everyone. So let's not bother with too much details. And then we're going back to something that is a bit more detailed. Every time it's like up the game of the creations. These ones are a bit of a mix of the previous one and the current one. So it's interesting. Not saying that it's good. There is another picture, I think, above here that has like a full chat. It looks interesting, but that's about it. Again, stamps. Uh, stamps for everything, which is pretty cool. Triple X, hi, what got it? Um, yes. The thing is, Bootstrap first version was kind of not flat, but it wasn't like as flat, or it was flat-ish. And material design is the one that democratized the thing. So that's why we are using material design most of the time for reference. It's also one of the timeline pin that you can take in your head. Like you have the iPhone in 2007 that just came out, and then after that, the design industry kind of shifted, and then iOS 7 happened, and that kind of shifted the industry of the design as well. And material design happened, and same thing, it shifted the industry. So you have these things that we use as reference point, and yeah, but it's not the creators. Like material design is not the creators. They are just the most popular. It's the same thing as I say every time. Um, Einstein is not the one to create or invent or figure out the law of relativity. It was a scientist from Italy that had that equation first, but because Einstein was in the US and also was propagandized much more, he took the credit. So that's the same situation. Material design just take the credit for flat design because most popular and most common knowledge. So yeah, um, yeah, it basically is. It's the Swiss style is basically Bauhaus-ish, which is German Bauhaus. um, But yes, if we go back from like art history in past in time, you will see that there is cycle every time. Each painters have done stuff that were extremely realistic and then abstract and like so much. So it's just repeating itself. It's repeating itself. It happens. This one was fun for two reasons. They are both really good, but one of them, which is the new version, the November version, takes the cake for one reason. Can you see the reason? The base thing here is that the shape of the what's the name of this? Lucky Charm? No. Yeah, I don't know. Clover. That's the fucking name. The four-leaf clover is aligned with the pixel a bit more, and also it's a teeny tiny bit bigger than the previous one. Therefore, you end up with something that is more recognizable and easily recognizable at a small scale when you're looking at it from far away. So that helps. And then the flower that is on the side, I'm guessing this is for tier 2 and tier 3, but um specifically this one, the top one, I would agree with that. I wouldn't say that this one is, because the transition with the kind of brown-ish, yellow-ish in the center is not exactly what I would see, but I get it. I I I get it. But it's neat. Nonetheless, it's pretty cool. Moving on. I agree. Um, this is one of the I clicked twice. This is one of the new style. So it goes back to Swiss style again, Swiss posters, Swiss design for some of these presentation, but then add some images and all other brutalist elements to it. So that's an interesting thing. It's not necessarily a pattern, but it is like a very, very common thing that a lot of people are coming back to. So that's interesting, interesting nonetheless. We've had this thing. This is a framer element. I'm impressed by
Hey
that.
Martin V is now following.
Martin, hi, welcome on in. How are you? Who are you? How did you find the stream? Thanks a lot for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome on in. So that's a very interesting thing. It combines a lot of things for what Framer is usually capable of doing, and the fact that this is like made in Framer is blowing my mind. That's the thing. Like that's not exactly what we expect from what Framer is capable of. So that's really cool to see. Nonetheless, that's just detail, and it's good to move on. This one for techie mostly because of the cat. Because Kyoto has a cat kind of mascots thing. Not really the best cat ever, but still, a mascot with a cat is always something that we take. So, having that makes sense. The other thing that I've seen, this pops in, and we talked about Gamma, I want to say last year, but my brain is not necessarily like, remembering. Well, welcome on in. Appreciate it. So Gamma is an interesting tool that is some sort of a AI powered PowerPoint helper. I guess. Uh, yeah, that's the thing. So it's very interesting overall as a concept, but they have a very core identity and they used it pretty well. Their website is kind of shit, not gonna lie, but their presentation is really good. So yeah, the fact that they have this popping back in the feed is pretty impressive. That we remember that, but again, as we said, this is like to me, this is a year-old tool that doesn't or haven't evolved since we tried it. So yeah, um, the thing that is true with your statement, but also that popped in my head for a split second, um, Gamma itself is a pretty useful tool when you don't have any ideas of how to do a presentation. And the way that the website is presented, obviously, um, right, is also that's the initial landing page, not the AI powered selection of things. So it's a bit of a better website nonetheless. But the way that it's presented and the way that the Gamma presentation work is basically in slices. You have a slide that is not a slide, it's a slice of thing that is going to be scrolled through. So when you're looking at the creation of the website, it feels really similar to what will then be in what you will use, because this thing with a scrolling, vertical scrolling thing for each of the slide, and you see the previous one and the next one, like top, bottom, whatever, it feels kind of the same. I wish they had added something where it was a page scroll, where each of the section was scrolling automatically to the next section, so that it just place you in the rhythm that you will have while you use the app. But nonetheless, it's really it's really simple. It works. It's a pretty good thing when you have no fucking clue. Um, and I do agree with you that the layout, most of it, is really AI generated. But also, it's just the classic pattern. So, not really a lot to say about it other than um, maybe we could have a lot more space here and there. But I don't know. Like, it's really sad. I'm gonna say that now. It's really sad to see this right here as the design of the website. And you see this, and you're like, okay, that looks like shit. Good. That's fine. That's okay. And then you arrive on this thing, and you're like, God damn, that's great. And God damn, that's a good footer. There is a teeny tiny amount of animation. The stars are moving. There is shooting stars here and there. That's neat. If the whole website could have been with that vision that they had, that would be amazing, but that's not the case. Even on the homepage, um, it's not necessarily the case. It's better, but it's not necessarily the case. Anyways, moving on. So that was really cool. Very cool concept. This is something that I think we're gonna see a lot, where companies are gonna use AI generated probably and retro futuristic illustration types. I think that's how I want to call them. So yeah. Um yeah, that's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. But nonetheless, that design language is really cool. And the fact that we have the creation or the author of that thing, that's neat. I don't know if they have like more stuff created and so on, but maybe they do. If they are the creators as well of the superhuman branding, it might be something. Nonetheless, moving on. This one was just really, really cool. So P5.js, we talked about it many times. It's a shader-based JavaScript tool, framework thing that gives you the ability to get like very, very creative in whatever you want to do. This is, to me, extremely good, specifically when you look at how realistic these brush patterns are looking, specifically in the splatters at the bottom. Each of the dots are kind of bad when they appear, but like the brush strokes are really impressive. The way that it dries down and all of that is made in P5, which is again impressive. So one day I'll learn that. Not today. Not today. Can't do that. So yeah, we had this one was kind of something that I wanted to talk about related to the post that I shared on Discord 2 months ago. Goddamn, that was a long time. So this thing, I have doubts on the authenticity and the non-AI creation of these illustrations, but these types of illustrations seems to be a bit of a trending thing. I'm doing kind of same thing. If we go in our inspiration section, if I can find it again. Was this? No.
Katek Soho just resubscribed for 39 months. Damn.
Cat, what on it? How's the day going? Thanks for the resub. I appreciate it. Did I put that in resources? No. Where did I put that? Did I put that in reading list? I know I put that somewhere. But obviously, I can't find it. That's 2022. That makes no sense. Was it from Rebrands? Maybe. It is. It's similar to this thing that I kind of talked about 2 months ago, where they have these cutout of illustration that they are using for creating these visuals. The thing that we talked about on this discussion when we shared that article in the first place is the fact that these images and the way that they have created these things are AI generation from basically 3 months ago. So nowadays, these could be created in way more better output in terms of quality. Nonetheless, interesting to see that these patterns are still going through here, even though this is like a more organic and natural drawing. I feel like this is something that a lot of people are going to do for the sake of being organic and original. Having like a badly drawn thing helps you be like kind of standing out. It's the it's kind of sad. It's the same thing that we had on like Notion in the first place. And technique, hi, work on it. It does fit. It does fit. It's on purpose. I know. I know. I press the button. That's me. I make sure that this is enabled right there. Um, like you have the match your content thing right about there. That's a me situation specifically because of that. That one. But yeah, work on it. It's the. I mean, the reality is that I say fuck a lot because of that, as you can tell. Um, this is counted as profanities for the American mind, and therefore I need to just place myself in that department. And we talk about anything and everything. This stream is 18 plus 99% of the time. So, yeah, that's the situation. But yeah, we've seen that. But we're going in nonetheless. Um, we've seen other things pop up as potential styles changes here and there, like mostly on this one. The, as I said before, the AI gradient is changing and evolving. It's going from the usual pink to blue to purple situation to adding a new orange color in there. And in the case of Apple, it has a bit of a green to it, just a smidge. So be aware that that's happening. And then these background animated mattress dots are kind of happening all around, so that makes sense. This one is extremely good, and I love it so much. My portfolio is almost entirely under NDA from the first agency I worked at, and that just sums it up so well. That's really good. But nonetheless, I used it and I saved it for one single reason. If you look closely, and you might not be able to do that because it's really tiny, everything in that image is a sticker. These bubbles are stickers, the NDA is a sticker, the text is a sticker, these things are stickers. This one is one as well, but it's just you don't have the outline that is visible. The pen is a sticker, you can see that outline right here. So, again, going back to what I said earlier in the stream, stickers are extremely in hype right now, but also, did you see it? Did you see the thing? That is a fucking stamp. That person is combining the stamps and the stickers and the uh, stamps to do this illustration, which is really cool. So that's nice to see. But yeah. Um, yeah, you can. One of the things that I did in one of my previous job that wasn't an NDA for 5 years is in the 5 years where I used it as a portfolio piece, and I don't anymore because it's not to the level of thing that I do. I basically took it, I changed everything that was related to the brand that I was working with, but I kept just the functionalities. So I worked for brand name blank for blank industry, doing a dashboard for users and professionals, and that came out to be this thing. And the logo was a fake logo, the colors were fake colors, the content was kind of different, just a smidge different, to make sure that if you wanted to have access to something, because that project was really big, or really useful for me for getting a job, it wasn't really an NDA piece. It was an NDA piece, but like still visible. So yeah. Anyways, I would be a sticker. So I wanted to make myself a sticker, which is already the case in the glitch me. I think the glitch me is basically creating a sticker of me plus the glitches, and I might uh, I might do something at some point to sticker me as a stream effect with something like a 5 FPS situation where I'm just changing really, really slow. It could happen. It could happen. It's not a bad idea. It is not a bad idea. Nonetheless, I'm letting you as PC users bash Apple for their creations. I love to shit on this thing. It's so good. So, Apple's introduced iOS 26 and tells us all we can now say this is radius dot concentric, so that if it is concentric to its parent container, it will have the radius that adapts to the phone. And then Apple themselves don't use concentric in their own system. Makes no sense. It makes no sense. That's just, god damn. It happens so often. And going back to what I kind of said, the getting this thing to be concentric, it is so easy because it is simply I don't really have anything to do right here, but it's basically getting to I think it's corner radius or corner style or something, and then you do style. Can I just type? Um, I think that's the thing, but it needs to be rounded corner, rounded rectangle, something. And it's just that's it. You just define the style to concentric, and then you have it. And for Apple themselves to not use the things. This is the phone, by the way. This is the phone environment. It's just makes no sense. It makes no sense. So I do appreciate all of us shitting on Apple for this because that just makes no sense. Also, Dapshi, hi, welcome on in. It's so wild. Um, so yeah, that happens. When my heart is in a good condition, which is not the case. So yeah, probably won't come back in a while. Um, have a good work session, I guess. We'll see you soon. Take care of yourself, as always. Um, what do you mean to police? Looks like the image, the icons is in a centered dot relative to the phone. Oh yeah, this one? In terms of where it's placed compared to the radius here? It's pretty good placement, but it has more space at the bottom, but that's also because of the navigation bar. But it's close, yes. It is. Um, Again, best trick in the book. We talked about it before. We showcased that before. It's really simple. Um, just make sure that we are on the edges. So close. So close. Oh my god. The top one, however, is just like not even. I mean, it doesn't really count because it has more space, but goddamn. That's the thing. Nox, hi, we're calling. How are you? How's the day going? So that's the rages that should have happened on this thing. And that's not what we have, obviously. But yeah, the positioning is kind of wild. I do agree with Dan. It's just your top one is reaching faster, and then the edge is not really good, not really aligned. This one looks so much almost perfectly aligned, perfectly placed, but nah. It's sad. It's sad. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Anyways, moving on from this Apple creation. We've had other things, as in keychains from the Japanese account that I'm following. Obviously, like there is a ton of these that makes sense to me. A lot of Polaroids happened and a lot of stamps again. We've had other things like this. I'm impressed by that. I know it's just a matter of like pencil and print and whatever, but just the color and how it stands out is really cool. I think this is an holographic foil on top of this output, but based on that color right here. But yeah, it's really cool nonetheless. A lot of keychains again. That's the same thing from the Gamma app from earlier. These are AI generated images, usually all guys doing a lot of these as well for presentation. This is the type of thing that we are going to see a lot of happen. I think, at least from my point of view, this is the illustration style that a lot of people cannot really create through Photoshop and other photo creation. They can 100%. Like, this is not specifically the first one. This is not something that is hard to do, but it's just this is not the type of thing that people are coming up with in Photoshop. So yeah, that happens. No, I didn't. I died. I died. So I didn't. But yeah, nonetheless, that's the thing. A lot of stickers happened. This was really simple. We saw that before. Nothing really important to showcase on this. This one was just fun. That's it. I, I like it, but it's fun. Fun print. Fun print. Guess what? More stamps. Everything is just fucking stamps. This popped in. I know that Cat would convert to buying an iPhone if that happened. Probably. I, I, it is really good. It's really fake, which is really sad, but it is really good. As Lucia was saying, if only that was the case. And, it's a really good one. I think it's a very easy thing to do, specifically with the anodization and aluminum anodization that we have nowadays. The fact that we have the the silver one, like the neutral silver one as a, as a base. If you open it and you just get rid of all of the components, you just anodize the phone to get that color and then put everything back in. It's a very easy process. You might lose waterproofness, but you have a big iPhone, so it's pretty cool. Nonetheless, more stickers, and these ones are interesting because they are uneven stickers, so we do like that. It's not usual to have like that shape, for example. These ones make sense, but that doesn't. Yeah, I mean, specifically this one and this iPhone in the realm of the material that they have used, that version of aluminum is just so bad and so like non-scratch resistant that the only good iPhone to get is the gray one, the silver one, if you are rocking it without a case. If you are rocking a case, you're kind of good with it, whatever. But if you're not, if you're someone that then use your phone naked, you need the silver one just because of the simplest scratches with your keys. That's it. So yeah, the one that was like wine red was really impressive as well. Kind of liked it a lot. Kind of liked it a lot. This is, I saved that for the top section. A lot of people are bringing back the illustration type for the cards. So I realize this is a me thing, this is bias on my side. The like the past few years, I have condensed my UIs to make sure that the thing that I wanted to be visible was visible. And for the past 2 years, a lot of people have been expanding their sections to be a bit bigger than expected. So this, for example, is absolutely useless. That section at the top, absolutely useless. Does it look like a membership card, something that you can tap somewhere? Yes. Is it good? Yes. Does it make sense to have like that much space used? No. But does it make the experience better? Kinda. So, yes. Um, yeah, the MacBook does like sometimes bend, which is really bad. So yeah, I throw my phone on my bed, so sometimes it just go past the bed. It happens. It happens. Not my fault. Not my fault. This one was really cool for someone doing illustration in Figma, as always. It has a lot of very small details. The textures are good. There is nothing that I'm complaining about other than that dot is not centered on the line. That's it. The rest is really cool. Everything else is really cool. The light on each of the squares is on point, as we said before. The like the rendering right there of how this is a concave element with a divot like inside. That's really cool. But yeah, every detail is on point. The angle of the camera, the spaces in between things, so good. Nothing to complain about. And yes, the banding is just the compression from Twitter. So Looks cool nonetheless. Looks cool nonetheless. This is specific, and that will probably not speak to most of you. Probably not, but we never know. This is associated with a very specific app to me. It's a very special design style, and you might have that app in your head right now. But the whole thing is a very Duolingo environment for how it used to be in the beginning. And now, because this is Joy software, it's also associated with other things. And so Duolingo used to have rounded fonts instead of the regular font. But that is a very interesting brain patterns, at least for me, to say that is really bad from Duolingo version 2. And now it's not the case anymore because they have like this other things. But yeah, what app did you have in mind? The flame is also like a bit of a bias, but like the design itself, the overall thing is pretty similar. Specifically when you look at these, like these corner radius, the way that they have these things defined. Same thing here. So look at that, you know. OnlyFan is not necessarily that color, but I get it. I mean, I haven't been on OnlyFan in a while, so I don't know if they have changed the design since then. I know that they are not that rounded and that subtle with their color schemes, but yeah, that blue is closer to the Twitter blue that we used to have than the OnlyFan blue, at least for me. So yeah, nonetheless, cool stuff. It's interesting that again, design invoke different apps in your brain, and you make the connection really really fast. So yeah, fun stuff. Fun stuff nonetheless. These ones were just really cool. Yes, that is something that could be done in Figma. Not animated, static for sure, but you know, good looking, stuff. We had more pastel coming in. What else did we see? More cats. And going back to the thing, I thought you were asking this earlier for the can we make a mouse with the iPhone? Because it has like the AR blaster in the back. Not AR blaster, but like the LiDAR camera. That person has created a night vision camera by using the LiDAR to map the environment. And that's pretty cool. It's not as depth sensitive as you want your camera to be. But if it was like a combination of the camera and the LiDAR on top of each other, this is pretty useful. This is a pretty useful thing. It's not exactly the like most accurate stuff, but it's pretty cool. So, yeah. That is the thing that I talked about earlier that I think is a bit of a pattern. I know. We've seen that many times. We've seen tabs for presentation a lot in the past few years. The pattern that I'm noticing lately is that people are using tabs for presenting anything, but they are including the content and the background of inside of the tab body. Meaning that here, for example, they went with the same color as the image. In some other cases that I've seen, they used the same image inside of the tab as if it was continuing up. I've seen color bleeding through if it was a gradient or something. And that is the pattern I'm noticing right now of that might be something that is becoming a pattern. It's the fourth-ish that I'm seeing. So I'm expecting other designers to potentially get that um, and create things with that. But nonetheless, pretty cool. Nonetheless, pretty cool. We have that for stickers and stamps. Very, very common. Very, very common. Everyone is doing the exact same thing and it pisses me off, but it's fine. Um, that exact same thing. That's not exactly the same thing, but it's the same concept of the tabs getting the colors in rather than having them otherwise. That's interesting. Have a good look. As always, we had more stamps, more stickers, more other things, more illustration, like minimal illustration. Um, that specific post is really annoying to me, but I also get it. So, Levels IO said, when I see laptops full of stickers nowadays, it looks kind of cringe to me. It was normal 10 years ago, and I wonder what exactly changed in culture that made it cringe. The thing that pissed me off with that post is the fact that the thing that changed in the culture is tech bros like himself basically saying that stickers are cringe in the first place. I'm not someone that ever liked putting stickers on anything, so I have never like sticker bombed any of my stuff. But it's just the fact that if at some point you were liking it and then it's now cringe to you, it's because at some point you, as the person that was doing it, decided that it's cringe to see other people do it again, or does it do it as well, and therefore they just need to criticize this and end up with not sticker bombing their stuff anymore. And there is a lot of posts on TikTok, on Twitter, on the other platforms where I'm like, you answered your question in your question without really realizing it. So, what changed is you. Anyway, it was a bit philosophical, as always. If you haven't seen this was pretty impressive. This is a Heinz ads for sports. And each of the tomatoes are representing one of the sports, I think in the Olympics. It's a very interesting thing. A lot of people have not really had the ability to see everything that happened on each of the tomatoes. I think it's a very creative, specifically the fencing. The fencing is really good. The other ones I have some doubts, but they look really impressive. And the thing that I'm saying, and that I think I'm not the only one to say that, what the fuck does Heinz has to do with sports? I I don't know. I think the only potential is the fact that this one is a zero sugar thing. It's the low calorie version, but it's also kind of weird. Um, so I don't, I don't know. Nonetheless, creative, very creative. No complaining there. No complaining there. Um, just buy it. If you wear caps, just buy it. It it's good. It's really good. So that these are the thing, right? That I talked about earlier in the stream that I don't understand. A lot of people are redesigning logos that are really good and saying yes or no. And it's just no every time. And I know what's happening and I know why that is the case because with that, you're getting a ton of engagement with people saying just no, this is shit, and so on. And therefore, they are getting paid at the end of the month because, that gets traction. But I, I mean, that's my perfectionism and my designer brain talking. So do with that what you want. You will be known as the designer that doesn't know how to do a logo. You will be known as someone that has no taste. You will be known as someone that doesn't know what they are doing when it comes to design stuff. And so if you are a designer that is supposed to be hired by companies to do design work, the level of trust that I have for you is tanking the second I'm seeing this. And it might be a joke and it might be something else just for the sake of having engagement and rage bait and so on. But this is how I see you now. Like if I had any views from or for you before that, your basically status and my idea of you in my head is just tanking because you're doing shit for engagement rather than good content. So yeah, I don't know, just hate it. Just hate it. This was just fun because it is exactly what I've done 5 years ago. Mm, is that the thing? Yes. If you don't remember. Um, that's looking awfully familiar. This is the first one I've made in 2021, and after that I made like a ton of different variation of it, including one of them that I think I don't have it here, but that basically was exchanged in the process. I don't have it here, sadly. But yeah, just having like this whole thing was a personal stuff for testers. But yeah, Blender was pretty cool. Blender at the time. So yeah, it's fun to see. The font design is good. The content. Oh, I see. My bad. I just glitched for a second. The font design is good. The content is really good. The illustration type is really cool. The output makes sense. We like that. We like that a lot. It's really neat. It is really neat. Um, what else did we see? Not much. Not much. There was this, which is going back to my initial take from 3 years ago of the straight but not straight illustration type and presentation. Everything is just at an axis, at an angle, not really on the grid, but still on the grid. And so that as a portfolio is a very interesting presentation types. It works. It's neat. A lot of people are going to have the exact same portfolio tomorrow. Like there is no question about that. So yeah, if you want to check it out, as always, here's the link in question. And 1 second. See, that's a very cool portfolio, nonetheless. But yeah, just having fun with it, playing with it, and so on. It's gonna help. Anyway, this one is just same thing, and I understand that, you know, she's playing dumb based on the username, and that pissed me off. But it's working, and that pissed me off more. But basically, it's like this creative is really good, but the concept lands so flat. And then when asked why so flat, the only thing that she says is, "I just don't get it," which, like, doesn't help. Like that person is asking, "Can you elaborate?" And it's, "I just don't get it." That is not an answer. That is not a single answer in everything that they have done in there. And basically, what the reason why it works is because they are using that really creative ads. They are getting a ton of views and a ton of engagement based on the fact that, you know, that's what happened. But I just hate it because it's a matter of playing dumb in order to get views and playing dumb in order to get popular. And that just doesn't sit right with me. Nonetheless, moving on. Moving on. Um, that's also a bit of a trend. It's not necessarily true, but that's something that people are doing right now, of accepting X amount of clients right now for these things for 15K a month, which is like unreasonable pricing for a lot of people. And yeah, that's just trendy-ish. Trendy-ish. That specific post, if you click on show translation, Grok is just freaking out and releasing all of the exclamation marks, and that's it. And so you end up with that happening. And I don't understand why that's what happens, but that's what happens. Um, it goes on for a good minute and a half, I think, before it kind of stops. But yeah, the initial is not that long. Initial one is not that long, so that's pretty impressive. We've seen that for Pasteur. Same thing as usual. Nothing to say about it. This one is really cool. So it goes back to the other one that we talked about last week of the jelly-ish slider. This one is a toggle, and it's a jiggly, real jelly thing. I feel like the idea of having them like light up and jiggle is pretty cool. But that's it. As always, this is good looking from that angle. And it will always be good looking from that angle specifically. But if you put it in any other angle, it doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't look any good. If you look at from the top, not a good thing. Not a good thing. Yeah, that one is kind of sad for the people that are like me that are using Twitter and other platforms for references. 60 FPS has been the base home for everything. Now that they are not free, it's kind of harder to go. And now that Mobbin is adding animation to their own thing, we will have animation inside of Mobbin, which means that we'll have one home for all references. So that's pretty cool. As always, I have an affiliate link for Mobbins. You can find that on the Discord, but you know, the usual thing. The usual thing. But yeah, that's the main point. Let me just get you the thing that I was talking about earlier. If I can find it. I have doubts. That's crazy. Sorry, 1 second. Oh yeah, no, that's crazy for many reasons, but not the right reasons. There was, or there is, this thing right about here, which has this animation thing that I was talking about earlier with the Polaroid and the way that things are popping up on the view. This is kind of similar. This one is also really interesting. It's the same app, but the way that things are presented is really cool. I need to find the fonts that they are using because it is really nice. But yeah, that animation is something that a lot of people are currently doing. So that's, I would say this is something that I would consider as a pattern for sure. Let me see if I can find the illustration we talked about for the aluminium section. I mean, talked about. Not really. Kinda. It's been a while though. It's been a while. Again, the amount of good design that is in there is crazy to me. It's crazy. What's this thing? God damn. Also, Stony, what do you need for the App Store screenshots? That's the question. And don't say App Store screenshots. No. What do you need here in there? I don't need much. Where's that thing? Where is that thing? Give me a list of the screenshot that you need. That's basically my question. That is my question. Yeah, that's not happening. You should use AppShot instead, or I forgot the name. Let me find it. Well, it's right there. That's the thing. The stainless was really shiny, the titanium was really cool and durable, and then the aluminum is just like old and wavy and no good. Really bad. Really bad. Which one is it? That's the question. I guess. That's probably be the case. No, not that. Just use that. Just, you know, just use that. It's gonna be better. It's kind of sad, but that makes more sense because I can't really do the entire thing. And you would have like basically everything you need in no time. Some of them are going to be way more than expected, but yeah. Holy shit. I would say something for this, or something like this one would work. Um, really simply. Because that's good enough, depending on the screenshot that you have, or something like this could work as well. This is more like luxurious than the other one. And kind of makes sense. I'm sure that they have some sort of a preset template for streaming services and or something else, but you know. Again, I hate doing these, so that's why I'm giving you this instead, because goddamn. App Store screenshots are just like so annoying. And if you have a tool, use the tool, which is what I did. I used the tool and then I kind of changed the design a bit. But I used that as a reference that we have something. And so yeah, use that. I think you have the ability to go from phone to tablet with these. One of the things that I would recommend you to do is use real screenshots instead of fake screenshots. But then that implies the screenshot that you take needs to be at the right size from the get-go, which is kind of complicated to get. sometimes. So, yeah. Why is that happening now? God damn. Um, also, that's cool. But I hate these things. Hey, use that instead. Use that instead. The thing that the reason why we saved Olga earlier is because she's doing like a lot of AI generation, AI image generation, which goes into the styles that are currently used in some of the new landing pages. So a lot of it is surrealist and sci-fi based surrealist things, but also it's really interesting for me to see what is currently feasible based on one of the things that they're doing. So, for example, these I may have not been able to know that this was an option in terms of generation. If you don't pay attention and you're just like scrolling through your feed and you see this, you might just believe that this is not AI generated. I don't know if there is any tell for sure that are like, oh yeah, that's for sure AI because something. Kinda, but not really, but kinda. Um, like for me, the reasoning is the lines that are going through are kind of in the same exact orientation all the time, and I know how I draw is never the same like direction. But then when you look at these ones are kind of horizontal this way, this way, this way, so it's all over the place, um, which is interesting, but you know, impressive nonetheless. We do like to see what is feasible and what is not feasible, and the achievement that they have on this one is pretty cool. So the fact that you can find any stars and stuff and so on, that is impressive. However, as always, this is something that has been trained on someone else's art and creation. So the initial artist for this probably exist and probably could be contacted to get some information about how they are creating their illustration and if they are available to do stuff. Could be cool. So yeah, that was the only reason why I saved this. But yeah, I don't think you can do that as well. Um, for the screenshots, Tony, that's where my head is right now. I don't think I wouldn't. That's me. I wouldn't use the current state of the app, Gade, for taking screenshot. Not on my phone, at least. That's for sure. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Also, I wouldn't use this phone as a screenshot worthy phone because of the screen aspect ratio and what it is. Doesn't really make any sense for me to have a phone that is that tall. And using the design that I have in Figma doesn't make any sense because this is not what you have in the app. So, fake advertising, never a good idea. Um, never a good idea. So I would basically what I'm saying is I would wait nonetheless, even though I would recommend you to use app screens instead of me doing anything because that makes no difference. Again, if you look at Can on the Play Store, um, well, the screenshots are non-existent. I just took screenshot of the app on this phone and then dropped them there. There is no work being done. It's one of the reasons why the fucking app doesn't succeed anyway, because you don't have any information when you're opening the view, which makes a lot of sense. But yeah, um, it does. It does matter a lot. But yeah. Holy fuck. Why am I dying already? Anyways, um, so yeah, that's the thing. App screens is going to be the most useful thing for you to just get App Store screenshot faster because you can use your phone as screenshots. The best option is going to be to use the virtual phones on Android Studio, specifically because you can have a Pixel or something that is a bit more common size behavior because yours and mine are phones that are kind of narrower and taller. Like if I remember correctly, your Sony one is a bit not. Yeah. Was my chat horizontal? Also, hi Jeff. Um, I don't want the chat to be the center of attention. It does make it a bit harder to read when people are typing messages that are a bit longer than what is available to display. And if I had it as a vertical thing, it would probably be where the current follower counter is. And that would be smaller than what you have right now. So it's not necessarily a legibility situation. It's mostly a being different situation where every other streamers is gonna have a vertical chat. If you use an horizontal chat, you stand out in a way to like have something that is new and fresh and different and so on. But like a lot of streamers right now have horizontal chat as well. So yeah, it's the same thing. But welcome back in. I hope you're good. Yeah, that's the thing. If we go to the homepage, um, and let's go into just chatting, for example, because that's going to be the easiest presentation from far away, right? Chat is vertical, and most of them are using these vertical bubbles thing, vertical here. I mean, Nutty has the horizontal as well in a different scene, so that doesn't recount. Prime is just like chat open on display, so that doesn't count. But most of the time, you have the camera and then the chat underneath, the camera and then the chat on the side with bubbles. And so it's just like always the exact same thing. So it makes sense, right? You are expected to see something that looks like a stream. So when you're looking at this view, for example, you're expected to see the chat on the side. and I wouldn't mind having the chat on either side, but it just doesn't feel right anymore. It felt right in the beginning when I just like started doing that basically. So the fact that I turned into a slideshow make no sense, but that's just my computer being or dying right now. Um, but yeah, overlay is basically what I used to have. Like if I go back into, well, that's gonna be bad. Oh, the one at the top. I like that. I like the Chinese live stream at the top. I think that's fun. Um, it's not practical at all. Specifically because my chat is also extremely slow. Like we don't have a lot of activities. We have a burst of activities where people are chatting, and usually it's like one to two people chatting together and all replying to things. Uh, but yeah, that's that thing. If I go into, I guess if I go into there, I might be able to. Um, like this one used to have the chat underneath me, and it wasn't good. Uh, this one of an overlay used to have the chat on the side. I know I'm showcasing the clips that make sense. Um, and same thing here. Like on the full screen view, we used to have. I don't think so. For example, Asan and other big streamers, I wouldn't have them have the chat on the stream at all because it goes so fast that it just doesn't matter at all. Like it doesn't bring anything. The reason why I have chat on the stream is simply because if someone wants to watch the VODs on YouTube after the fact, you can still kind of see who asked the question, what was the question, and what was the discussion happening. Um, but for Asan, for example, every clip that I'm seeing of him, the chat makes absolutely no sense. So it doesn't need to be displayed, at least not from my point of view. And I don't know. I guess Ninja might have something that is similar, but like if you think of it, Ninja's stream doesn't have the chat in there, and for me, a long time ago now, Dr. Lupo is basically the same thing. We don't really have high energy streams anymore. Like that kind of died. But they don't have chat on display. So yeah, that's it. Hi, welcome in. Um, yeah, the thing that Asan is doing is the same thing that Prime is doing. Basically, he has the chat open and it just scroll backs when necessary, and highlight like the chat in question when he has the chat here that is going to be the chat for everyone that is live running. So it just display the latest messages here, and then if he wanted to read this thing, he will scroll up a tad, read this to pause the chat, and then scroll back down to re-enable the chat to be able to continue and focus on the rest of the questions. But right now, eating ice cream, so eh, not necessarily happening. But yeah, like that's the thing. For me, I wouldn't have the people that have like the biggest or the most active chats. I wouldn't have them at all displaying anything because it just doesn't help. Which is here, like that doesn't help in any way to have the chat on the overlay. And on another point of view, which is something that Ninja said, and also Brain, who's that other really popular streamer um, with the glasses? I know a lot. CSGO player, Valorant player that has made his own game and flopped. And it used to play with Ninja and Lupo as well. Shroud. That's the thing. Yes. Goddamn, the timing was at the same time. Um, Shroud and Ninja at the same time, basically the same week, said the exact same thing of, I have stopped reading chat, or I haven't read chat in months. And that's a crazy thing to say from a streamer point of view, right? They're like, I I recognize that I am a streamer, and therefore I'm there for the enjoyment of the stream, but I don't read chat anymore because it goes too fast, and or it's just irrelevant and it's not necessarily good content, and or it's just drama stuff that are related to other activities outside of the stream. So Ninja has basically removed the chat from the overlay since that. Shroud kind of did the same thing. As far as I remember, we had a bit of a different overlay happening not so long ago, but same situation where like his views here, no real chat on stream or whatever. So that's the thing. But then you'll rewatch the chat. Like the only places that I know is just Hassan. Hassan chat is just crazy. Um, I I don't understand how you can follow through like that. To me, that makes no sense. But also, I can't read, so it makes sense. You know, um, like I wouldn't be able to do any of that. Like, notice any of these things every time there is a fucking red bar is because someone used the name of the streamer in there. Um, and it's just like I don't get it. However, something that I don't get either, and then it's still working. I've talked about that before. If you look at streamers overlay, popular streamers overlay, it's the shittiest overlay ever. Like the 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 home for the stream has no business being good or bad. It's a fucking camera in the corner, and that's it. And then it's a screenshot or screen cap cropped off the chat on top of it, and that's it. And that's like a good stream environment. And I mean, I'm still a designer, so that doesn't change. But it doesn't make any sense to me. It's just like, you sure? You sure you don't want something that is a bit better than that? But no, every time it's just like, well, it works. Same thing, like Ninja is just fucking camera right here. Lupo has a bit more of an overlay, but it's kind of shit. As I said multiple times, right now he's looking at the chat, not looking at the game, which makes absolutely no sense. Just placing himself on the other side would make a lot of sense because right now he's looking at the stream. And physically speaking, in your head and your brain, it just work together. But no. And then you have this bitch who's doing, like me, the most ever stream overlay thing just because, he can. But then if you look at it from where I am right now, the chat, I can't read that. If I'm on mobile, I can't read that. So I don't see the point of having it. That's my main thing. That's the reason why it's not there. We know that like if Nutty's switch scenes, we will have the chat horizontal at the bottom in the just chatting scene. But yeah, like there is a ton of thing that needs to be taken into consideration when you're building your overlay, and so I'm always like organizing in order to get like as much as possible for mobile, for desktop, for other activities. And so James, for example, in games has a common behavior where he's looking at the stream or at the game specifically, physically, in terms of the camera presentation. The camera is big enough, it's small enough at the same time so that it makes sense. You have the on-screen closed caption, which are broken for me for some reason. macOS just don't like the plugin that I have, and that's about it. There is no chat on screen. If we go into other clips or other things that happens, like when he's painting, it's the same situation where the chat is that very tiny thing at the top, and it's not necessarily the most readable thing, but it's just there. So, like these are some options, these are some things that make sense. Uh, I should have went go to. I don't know if you have things. Stony doesn't have an overlay. Stony is just like the chat is at the top right, going down, and it's just screen capture. And then there is the music right here, and sometimes there is something else around here, as far as I remember. But you have just three things, so you know that's it. So that doesn't count. That doesn't count. And then you have, I don't think finite is going to be a different view, but it's kind of same concept, right? Finite just has like so much stream effects because it's building stream plugins, but you know, um, eh, I mean, personally, obviously, I'm biased on this because this view makes sense to me. If I'm reacting, if I'm a React streamer, that makes sense. I'm here, I'm looking at the screen, you see me look at the screen, and you have the most real estate for the screen itself. The chat at the bottom is here for giving you an idea of the latency, kind of, but also giving you an idea of like what is currently happening and who asked the question and so on. I wouldn't really change anything from my stream overlay to Asan's overlay just because his chat is way more active. And that switch of having a full screen where it's just like the just chatting section and the React section being right here, because that's all that Asan needs. Technically, he just needs a big camera and a small camera. Yeah, that's all that is needed. So, from my point of view, I do that. I just do that, and that's enough. But yeah, but that's wild. Like, If you have all of that, this is a recipe for disaster. Um, like you probably have safety in place, but I can give you an image of stuff that is not allowed on the platform and paste that as a comment through a bot account and take a screenshot of your stream and report your stream, and then you get banned. So it's no good. It's no good. Yeah, I know. I'm sure you can have like if it's just a system of user level or user rank access, it is breakable. But yeah, I get it. I get it. Yeah, I mean, I get that, but still, still, unsafe, unsafe. What was it? I forgot. Um, we had like at some point we had GIFs playing on the stream as an option through one of the extensions. Same thing. We had sound alerts as well. Um, so you know, eh, God, they. So yeah, that's to me not really good, but I get it. I get it. It could work. So yeah, I would just have the chat on stream at the bottom. I mean, specifically here, this scene is really good for me in terms of Asan stream because it's just the just chatting thing. The only thing that I would potentially have is based on how his room is set and based on how my room is set, this side of my face is usually what I'm looking at for looking at my screen display and where the chat would be. If, and that's too much work for him because I know, but I would have something that basically highlight a message that I'm currently responding to right there. And I had a chat add-on a long time ago, and now it doesn't work because I'm on Mac OS, but that's fine. That was basically doing this. I could just click on a message and it would queue up and be displayed on stream as a I'm currently answering this question. That's basically what I would do. If I was Asan, to just click on a chat message, highlight it, it pops in the stream as an highlighted message so that everyone can read it. It's bigger than the chat. It's probably already forgotten by the chat because it's like so fast, but it's on stream. I can see if I'm watching the VODs for some reason. I see what is the answer or what is answered right now. That would be the thing. But that is, again, too much work for Hassan specifically because he just doesn't like to do a lot of activities other than just scrolling through the the chat and do that. Like it's just going back in and then looking for a message and then maybe doing a zoom in. That's usually what I do when I need to answer to someone and go back to the bottom of the chat so that we can continue reading things. But that's it. So yeah, these two views, like this view right here for when I'm watching a video to react and the previous view when I'm just chatting, I think is all you need when you are like a React streamer type of person. If you are a gaming streamer type of person, this overlay doesn't make any sense. You kind of want your stream to be 100% full screen the game, and then you place somewhere. When I did my Overwatch overlay, because I used to have that, I basically put my face cam on the hero section in the bottom left. That was the main thing. And then I would do that as well because the hero doesn't make any difference in terms of the gameplay. Like, you don't want the stream to distract from the gameplay too much. But then you have people like who does that? I mean, I guess that's an option. Um, but basically, this one is kind of the same thing. It doesn't really matter. That's not the one that I have in mind. Um, Lulu has kind of the same thing. She has overall, um, like specifically, if you look at the VODs, she has one of the best um, big streamer overlay to me. So a lot of it is really simple. A lot of the activity have teeny tiny animations, transitions, and so on, which makes a lot of sense. This just starting stream makes a lot of sense for her specifically because a lot of people are tuning in and so on. But then all she has is full screen, chat in top corner, which is not readable, but it's just like how stream looks. And then in games or in reaction, I feel like this is like reacting to videos, which is not necessarily what I wanted to see, but it's fine. Um, she's usually in the corner. When she's playing, she's like on top of the kill feed because it doesn't really matter. You just have the top one kill feed that is right here, and then the chat is underneath. And the chat is useless. It's not readable in any way. And our camera is really tiny, which is not necessarily useful, but that's something that I noticed many times as well on bigger streamer, and I talked about it before. The room and the way that she's sitting when she's playing, she could crop 50% of that camera, roughly, maybe 40%, to take less space from the gameplay. Like everything from her shirt right here to the edge could go away, and everything from here to the arm could go away as well. Like, it's not necessary to like take so much space. Like, the camera doesn't need to remain in 16:9. That's not, it's not an obligation that you have. Like, you can, not necessarily good. And when she turned on like this overlay, basically our camera in the beginning was in the other side because it was the other house, and you know, different place, different stuff. But nonetheless, the camera when gaming, the screen is mostly 90% the game because she's good at the game. For someone like me, I'm not good at the game, so having the game being smaller and me being bigger makes a lot of sense because you're not here to see me play good. You're here to see me play bad and see my reactions. Whereas for Lulu, I'm here to see her play good because she's good. So that's also a different type of thing that you want to have when you are looking at the overall output. Like Lupo, good at the game, camera is so tiny you can't see him. Um, Ninja, good at the game usually, camera is extremely tiny, you can't really see him or anything that is related to it. For James, probably good at the game as well, but camera a bit more organized in a way that emphasize on him and his reactions and stuff. Still good, but not as good. Not like pro player, where the gameplay is the most important thing. Also, this is not necessarily uh, a pro player game. Let's face it. Let's face it. So, yeah, this is much better. I mean, to me, this is really good, and James is really good when it comes to the layout, the like overall interface of his stream makes a lot of sense. The thing that I don't do, which is right here, for example, I'm not on top of my screen because usually, and that I know it doesn't really happen often anymore, but like usually what happens here is that I'm not like I'm on Figma, so I'm showcasing how to do things inside of Figma. And if I'm covering the layer names or the tools or something else, it's not good because I might be pointing at something with my cursor and be like right here, for example, and you might not be able to see that because my camera is on top of it. That happened before in some of the previous overlays. So I don't like to overlap things too much unless I have to, but most of the time I don't have to. And so when we have stuff like this, for example, like I have my phone that is displayed and that makes sense, right? Because that's all you need. I could have the phone overlay on this screen, but in order to do that, it would need to be a teeny tiny bit smaller, just a smidge, and that wouldn't match with what I want to have. So I would rather have like just contract my camera because it doesn't mean to be or need to be bigger than that. And the phone is there and is visible and it's good. So the other thing that I was thinking about for this one specifically was to change the chat position to move it like a bit more so that my phone could be a bit bigger. But I don't know if I want to do that. It's a bit more complex to do also. Not by much, but it's a bit more complex to do because the chat is in a very specific view in OBS. So going to that is just, different. Eh. Anyways, so yeah, our overlays are really cool, and we spent a lot of time in them specifically when I had a project that was based around creating overlays. But since then, I've kind of stopped. But I would say the last point, kind of not really, is the overlay depends on the activity on stream. So if the streamer is just chatting 99% of the time, then that is enough. Like, you don't need more than that. If the streamer is coding 99% of the time, then you need to see the code and it needs to be readable for the people that are like in there. If the streamer is playing games and the game is important, then the game needs to be visible. So it could, but it doesn't change much, to be honest. One of the things that is kind of also interesting, important, whatever, right here, my camera size is a very specific height. And if you look at the camera size and the height already, when I'm here, I have changed it to be way smaller, and I had to like basically crop it on this side to be flat with the screen. If I had the chat at the bottom be with less padding and no padding at all at the bottom, the screen would have the ability to be bigger, which means that my camera would be slimmer by like, I don't know, 16 to 24 pixel. It's already really tiny. So in that case, I would probably have to make the camera overlap the screen, and I don't want to do that. So I would rather have more space at the bottom and a screen that is a bit like um, tighter. But yeah, it's just it's annoying, but it makes sense. And it's stupid rules for reasons. Again, this section underneath me right here is pissing me off 99% of the time because it is empty and it should have stuff. A long time ago, it had the music that is currently playing. It had the alerts as well. We had other activities that were placed underneath there, like the latest followers, latest subscription. But then it felt wrong. Like I get it when a lot of streamers also have these latest followers, latest subs, latest raid, latest whatever displayed on screen as a token of appreciation for the streamer that did that or the person that did that. I get it, but it feels wrong, and specifically when it's like non-rotating and your stream like mine, like today I've been live for like 3 hours, roughly, not really, 2:30. Um, and we had one followers, which I highly appreciate, as always. But if my stream was only uh, displaying latest followers and latest streamer through or latest raid, whatever, I would have the name of that person that just followed for basically 3 hours, 4 hours of the stream because there is not enough action happening. So it could have been like it's still not that, but yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. It just happens. It just happens. So I would rather be here. That makes sense to me. Yeah, the stream overlays, as always, the one that we did, and we had made so many. Um, I said that's not the thing. That's what I said. Do we have that? I don't think we do. I don't think we do. I mean, technically here, maybe. We may have stuff. Um, like, again, some of my first stream overlay was an overlapping thing. Not the greatest. Second one was also overlapping, and I had like a square camera. Really didn't necessarily like it. We had after that something that was on the other side because my screen was turned differently. Um, but you know, like not necessarily good either. The just chatting had like chat all the time, and I did have the like rotating last activity situation. And then I think somewhere around here is when I started to basically have everything in place for everything that I wanted to have in display while streaming. And then I did this overlay. And after that, that's it. I really haven't changed anything since 2022. Um, so, you know, this one was a bit different, but it's the same concept nonetheless. So, it is. It is. I think you arrived uh, there.
So it was alien.
Roughly, that overlay is probably you have seen like the last days of it. But we still have the iridescent stuff. Potentially these ones, but yeah, again, like I used to have um the music playing right there because it made sense. Things have changed. Same thing. This one was kind of good. Overall, it worked, but the fact that I had um, the camera overlay or like overlaying the screen right there, that pissed me off. Like I lost so much of the activities in Figma and in Arc and in whatever in that exact section. Mm-mm. I think I need these to come back at some point because goddamn, goddamn.
Now you tell me what happened to my husband. When the shaman disappeared, his blood pressure stabilized and his pulse rate started to rise. A few hours later, he was not only awake, he was lucid.
But yeah, like the overlay changed so often that you know, or changed so often that makes sense. It made sense. It made a lot of sense. The thing, the thing in question, uh, that makes sense where it is. Maybe in there, I don't know. We did a lot of very impressive stream overlay, and that stream overlay was pretty good, but I don't think we have recording. I don't think we have recording of this. Ah, might might have some of it, but it is not the greatest recording. Not the greatest recording. Nope. Cannot. It cannot be. It cannot be. No, we do have some of the recordings for the things that I was thinking about in terms of transition potential for streams or like for stream scenes, and I did that at some point with how we could have basically a rotation between scene A to all of the other available scene, then scene B. But that was good, but also like a bit of a mess, specifically because of these bitches on the side and the way that it was like reorganizing itself. That's just wasn't necessarily the best option, but it was kind of fun. Uh, as always, this one was extremely cool for many reasons, but mainly the reason is the chat at the bottom. Alan, hi, welcome on, welcome back. The fact that this thing was like all over the place in terms of alignment. This is the most how's it called? OCD triggering overlay because nothing is aligned, and the chat was just like a very cool thing. I don't think we have test of the chat messages on this one, but I may have. um, I changed scene on this one. Maybe at the bottom, at the start. No, I didn't. Not on this one. I guess it's probably on this one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That chat was pretty cool, at least for me. Not the, you know, not the most impressive thing, and I could have done better, but nonetheless, for something done directly inside of OBS, really neat, really neat. Um, but yeah, like that's a nice chat detail here and there. However, it doesn't change anything. Um, it doesn't add any additional stuff to how useful things are. It just makes it interesting. Um, like same thing on this one. We have like so much other stream overlay. Like this one is the entirety of all the themes that I did in 2022. To just cycle through things. But yeah, every time I watch this video, I'm like, fuck, I was so slim. Goddamn, tiny me. But, you know. But yeah, we've done like so many other things and creations for how things could behave and change. But yeah, I mean, not to pat myself on the back again, still, but the fact that I did so many stream overlays experimentations and then figured out that the thing that I have right now is the most optimal stream overlay for me and mostly for most people, like for most streamers that are doing React content and or displaying a screen and not a game. It doesn't make any sense for me to move to something else and or something that is a bit more creative just because it's like I'm losing functionalities by changing the design. So I don't do it. I don't do it, but I get it. I know that the one that I've done for White Panther, for example, is a very eh, I guess I'm gonna need to do that. Um huh. Then I don't think I will have VODs in there in any way, shape, or form. But like the overlay that we did on here, that's 10 months ago. That's probably not gonna be a thing. It's basically the same thing as me. We just had like a lot more fun in the chat department, the design of the chat to make it like more interesting. And then she has a transition for another scene that is a side by side where the camera and the screen are basically squares. So that's a different layout for most people. And it is pretty cool to see nonetheless. But yeah, it's you know, that's the only thing that we have. She has something that I used to have as well, which is her camera at times goes into picture-in-picture modes. That means that the camera goes on top of the content and then she can move it around. I did that for Pot Pot as well before she changed everything. So yeah. You can change the background from a wood texture to a metal texture. Um, you also changed your bear, as far as I remember. Camera to bear to other thing. But yeah, overall, like that's the thing that I have, like for now, for example, the background is the green background and it doesn't animate because I removed the animation for the background, but you can 100% just get into the other themes if that's necessary or if you want to. You know, it's just, it's an option. initial ID and didn't work was on stream if when I remember never happens that I am currently doing a review of something, I can go into the blue theme. That way, if I am in the blue theme and I then want to edit that video, I just scrub through the entire stream and see, oh, that's blue now, meaning that from blue to blue, it's a review of some sort. If I'm talking about shit that I don't like, it could be in the orange theme. So that same thing. If I'm dunking on a designer, if I'm doing something about or trashing Adobe or Figma in what I'm saying, I can go check the VODs and see, oh yeah, that's the orange section, that's the trashing section. So I forget every time. Every time. I shouldn't. I shouldn't forget, but I do. I do forget. And then obviously, Kana comes in every time to put the theme in pink, and so we stay in pink most of the time. It happens. It's there. It's the thing that we do. So you know, that's not necessarily yes, necessarily different, important. Um, but yeah, that's the well, you can do that with channel points, and that is easy. But then again, Stoney is mostly here when he's working at the same time, mostly here in ears, not necessarily in eyes, when something else is happening on in the code. And so it could happen, but I also don't want Stoney to have like the responsibility of changing themes. Specifically because I'm also not editing the videos anyways. So, you know, doesn't help. It doesn't help. But yeah, no, having like an animated background also helps for just chatting streamers. Um, and eh, it's um it's a thing. Like the other thing that is kind of annoying, but also I can't anymore is when I was streaming dual PC setup with the PC, the Windows PC managing the stream itself and having all of the other features to it. I also add at some point um, the voice control for the scenes. So if I said something specific, as in a specific phrase of, if we look at the inspector, this is something that is related to Figma. Like that's a cue of, if you look here in the inspector, that means I need to be in the Figma displaying scene. Otherwise, it makes no sense. And so if the stream on the PC figured that I was not on that scene, it would just automatically just switch to the right scene because it makes sense. And we had, like, if we look at the PC, if we look on the Mac, if we look at the inspector, if we do things like this, and that was like voice command, the same way that might technically are triggering the chat messages automatically. This is running through the PC, and that was also running through the scene changes. But I'm not running the PC anymore. The graphic card in there is not powerful enough. And also, the Mac capture card doesn't work anymore based on the latest version of macOS. So since macOS 15, I think. Yeah. Yeah, 15. Since macOS 15, there was an issue with the like output of display through capture cards that make it flicker. And you can see that um in Theo's video at times. if you look closely at some of the screen capture, I know it's not like all the times, but if we go through, I'm guessing maybe this one. Um, if you look here and you look somewhere around there, at times in some specific views, there is a bit of a glitch. There is a bit of a different gray color that is shifting, and it's extremely annoying. It's a very, very, very specific gray that triggers this transition, and it just flicker. And in some of his video, we had the same issues. I think he fixed it at some point. So maybe if I go back, no, that was much before that. But yeah, um, I haven't watched Prime's one yet. It's been on my feed at some point, but I haven't watched it. Um, but yeah, no, that's the same thing. So basically, capture cards and Mac OS are not good and not really happy with each other. So we end up with flickering images, and that's not good. Um, I think I have some VODs that are capturing that as well. So yeah, everything about the PewDiePie transition is pretty cool, though. To be honest, as we said, we talked about it the day they popped out, anyways. But it's just it makes sense. It makes so much more sense uh, to just have everything running on your device to do the thing that you want for your device on your device. And then, as he said, um, eh, it makes sense. So yeah, I don't know. Right there. I don't know. I don't know who gave them the idea of using the main color of the video for that. I don't know. Seems natural. Seems like a normal thing. It's still really bad to me. Like it still doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like this one being red makes sense, but this one being brown makes no sense, and this one being brown makes no sense either. Um, like that's blue, yes. That's brown, yes. That should be pink. Like that's basically what I have in my head. Is just like we should use the most saturated thing. So right here, for example, it's the dominant color is like 90% is blue. Yes. This one is like 90% is brown with the background. Yes, which also French, so not good. But like the red would be the thing that pull you out. So I'd go for some yellow around here to stand out. I don't know. You will end up with something that is basically this. You would end up with gray, which is pretty cool, to be honest. Like that one is really nice. Not gonna lie. Um, but yeah, I also I'm also laughing at this channel because goddamn, would he not have the success he has if he hadn't been known? Like if his face wasn't known, goddamn. Like that's a crazy jump from an outsider perspective to go from extremely viral internet personality to like from a company to on his own doing the thing and pulling the exact same numbers basically, just because he can. So yeah. Anyways, like this one makes no sense. Like that is a majority white section. Um, yeah, I removed autoplay. I disabled autoplay because it counts as a view. Did you know that? Um, I basically learned that because at some point I had my pointer somewhere and it started playing. And then when I went into my history, I had the video that I was watching but not watching just in there. And I was like, yeah, no, that didn't happen. I didn't watch this thing. It was just like hovering the video. So I don't know. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Anyways, small details, more stuff that can happen in there. Um, you know, makes sense. With some details, some stuff. I don't think I care about like Alex and in Jake's video anyways, and I don't think I cared much um about their appearance in LTT's video either. Um I think the only people that I kind of care about is James in LTT because his personal views on headphones and earbuds are kind of aligned with mine. So when reviewing earbuds, I'm like, yeah, cool, I get it. And Luke doesn't have as much camera training than the rest, so it's going to be kind of hard to put him back. I do. I think there is an opportunity for LTC to bring back a lot of the, or bring in a lot of the labs content that all the labs people that haven't been on camera yet. And so that would help. But they also are not willing to place someone on camera based on the amount of weight that is being on camera for LTT. That is bringing a lot of weight for a lot of people. So I get it. Like some people specifically in their daily life don't want to be recognized everywhere they go. So I get it. But, you know, some of the new people could benefit from being on camera, that's for sure. I would say there is also like the duality of what basically is happening with Jake and Alex of based on their popularity on LTT, they are now really popular on their own, which is fine. The fact that Alex took Andy as well, I think. Andy went with Alex for the video thing, so Andy's not with LTT anymore. That's pretty impressive. The fact that Marcus, MKBHD has gone Jano as well from LTT. It's interesting. So yeah. I thought that the probation period was like 3 months probation or 6 months probation before they can be on camera. Interesting. But yeah, though I mean, LTT video have been really different and not necessarily good for me in the past few years. Not a lot of things have happened, and not a lot of content that they are taking a look at makes sense. So yeah, I remember months, but that's just me being French and them being kind of French as well. Um, like there is also something that is kind of personal, I guess, but the one show is also like I'm not watching it anymore when they are not both in the fucking room. When one of them is on camera somewhere else, that doesn't work the same. There is such a delay, there is such an overlapping of voices. The thing just don't flow as it is supposed to. And for the past 3 to 4 weeks, I feel like they have been alternating off and on who's not in, who's in. And that makes no sense to me. So, I don't know. Uh, so, yeah, that's a lot of things that are just kind of sad. And I kind of get it. But still, like, it's not good. I feel like a lot of the YouTubers that I used to watch have either fell off the scene of YouTube, or they just have been doing less and less interesting content to me, or I've been like kind of bored of their thing because it's always the same stuff. Like if I'm looking at my feed, Four Eyes is a really cool woodworking channel. I like what they do, but most of the time it's the same type of builds. It's just a different design and they are repeating the same thing. Marcus for the autofocus channel, even though I'm not really, I mean, I don't drive, I don't have a license. I, I don't know what to think. Most of the time it's just the exact same sentences coming out that just makes not a lot of sense to me. So, less and less watching. Chris is doing a lot of really good documentary lately, which is appreciated. Charlie is doing Charlie thing, so not a lot to say. And my home feed has been like a lot of AI generated music lately, and that's it. And a lot of Japanese content, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. Chris has used to do really good content and then to me fell off. Um, eh, I disagree. Jeff, I disagree. There is a lot of clickbaity things that just doesn't. Like, this is 100% clickbait. Like, the no clickbait is the clickbait. The fact that they are moving out, we don't really give a shit. Right? But yeah. No, when I say disagree with being French has its perks, I disagree with that. Not having a license is just like I never had the need for a license when I was in France or when I was in Japan. Public transport are so good that there's no need for a license. You can have a cab, you can take a train, you can take a plane, you can move really freely how much as you want as long as you stay in city bounds. and that's so easy. So yeah, but in the US for sure, like you need a license. You don't have a choice. Where I grew up, I kind of needed a license, and I didn't have one. So I get it. But yeah, like most of these things, it's just like Una doing makeup and food in Japanese, and I'm just listening to shit that I have no use for. Um, a lot of people that are in my feed as well just don't have. I haven't watched their content in a while, so not necessarily good. It's wild. It's wild. Jesse's doing good stuff. Like he's been doing longer and longer and longer videos. This one was crazy. The output is really cool. But same thing. This is something that I put in the background and I can just focus on something else at the same time and just look from time to time, which is not really good. Whereas these bitches, I'm just, I'm listening. I'm focused on that. Um, so yeah, no use for in the terms of most of the content and most of the topics that they are mentioning and using and talking about in the videos are not words that I have interest in. I'm just looking for sentences, like, yeah, sentences patterns and voice patterns and so on. So using gyaru and other very popular slangs from Japanese people is extremely useful. But like, for example, earlier today, I listened to this one, which is a very simple adds-on chatting with you about anime in general. And Haru is doing like a lot of Japanese content overall most of the time. So it's neat. It's useful for me, but it's also like this one is kind of more complex because it's a one-sided chat, which is basically like a monologue for a long time. And I need to make sure that I understand. Whereas Ike-chan is more descriptive than discussion, which is different and just a very different thing in terms of the language. As I think I said that before. Basically, in Japan, if you are gay, you speak in a as a man. If you're gay, you speak the same way that the girl is gonna speak. And if you are a lesbian, you are going to speak more manly. Overall, you're using words that are usually used by certain genders. That's usually what happens. The fact that I'm listening and learning Japanese through girls, which are using most of the time the proper Japanese pronunciation of things, makes me sound like a different type of gender that I'm not in Japan. But it's kind of wild because they are basically the Japanese people are associating the proper Japanese with girls and not with speaking Japanese. So that's the thing. But yeah, like there are some people in here in my feed that are just good at presenting stuff in the way that they are speaking, and others like not really. Like this one specifically is really, she has a very specific timbre of voice, and then I'm just listening to what's happening, but also not listening because it's basically just learning the face words like mayuge, ayuge, hana, and so on to make sure that I understand exactly how the face is described, but that's not much. However, when I have like an inventor that is doing things, it's more interesting because different types of slang, different types of um, speech patterns as well, and also different types of words used. So, you know, it's fun to see. It's fun to see, specifically when you're learning the language. That is useful as always. You know, that. But you know, other than that, not much. So yeah, YouTube has been in a decline. That's basically what I was saying. YouTube has been in the decline for me in terms of what I'm looking at, what I'm enjoying watching, and what I go back to. I would say that sadly, that kind of sad to me. But the videos that I'm spending the most time on lately are the AI generated jazz music for the background music. Like these ones that are like 5 to 6 hours video are just, that's the only thing that I'm just automatically going back to because it's just like, oh, I need something in the background that is not someone that speaks and it's not someone that is um, doing something that I'm interested in or that I need to, you know, be looking at and so on. And so I'm just going into one of these jazz playlists because it just makes sense. And that's easier. Like it's the first video in the fucking feed and that's working. Otherwise, it is the same thing that you're listening to right now, which is fine as well. But yeah, because like, as always, it's fine as well because it doesn't have any lyrics. But yeah, that's the thing. That's so sad. It's so sad. But I agree with you. I should find more music, but I also kind of stopped listening to music. So, you know, that is where we are. That is where we are. Anyways, I must send you to Pot because it's been a while. I know that Hillfault is live as well, but Pot it's been a while, and I am in need of things. So yeah, as always, thanks all for being here. The VOD is going to be on YouTube for some reason. If you want to watch that again, if you have a question, I'm not live as always. The Discord is open for that. That's the main. That's the main point. That is the main point. I shall be back on Friday if all goes well. Unless I'm dead, that can happen. But yeah, if you want to learn Japanese, this is pretty cool. And if you want to give me some money, you can sub, but you can also do that. But yeah, we'll see. Potpot is a co-working streaming, so you know, chiller than what we have here. Nonetheless, as always, take care of yourself. Eat something, drink something. Be kind to each other. And I'll see you on Friday, I guess. I guess I'll see you on Friday. Congrats, Tony, on winning. That is a winning. If I do say so myself. But yeah. Take care. Bye.